Wouldn't we all like to go somewhere where there's a sunlit night? Welcome to the Film Threat Podcast. I am Chris Gore. I am pleased today to have on the show Rebecca Dinerstein Knight. She is the novelist, screenwriter of The Sunlit Night, which stars Jenny Slate, the amazingly talented Jenny Slate. And Rebecca, you are amazingly talented for putting this project together. I personally love those types of indie movies and those types of stories that are a journey of self-discovery, where a flawed character is thrown into a situation and has to learn something from the experience, many awkward situations, actually. Were many of the experiences of this that we see in the film, are those from your real life? Tell me where this all came from, at least as it pertains to the novel.
Sure. It's a mix. I did live alone in an ex-mental asylum building on an island in the Norwegian Sea, about 95 miles north of the Arctic Circle for a year. So you're going to get some beauty and some wacky experiences up there. There's a lot of solitude and a lot of extraordinary landscape. So that is true. I did really soak up the environment that you see in this film, and it's ravishing, and it's a once on a planet place. So that is all true, but it's also a novel. So there was never any barn, and there was never any Yasha. I didn't have the luxury of the love interest that the character gets. So it's a real mix of real life and fiction, but the landscape of Arctic Norway is really real.
Yeah, it's so well captured in the film that I think that environment is like a great opportunity to kind of, I guess, get outside yourself. I mean, that's what we see Jenny's character, which is, I'm gonna assume, based on you. You can't. Well, yeah. I mean, you can't be too displeased when someone like Jenny Slate is cast. What did you think about? I mean, first of all, from going to the novel, what was the process before we get to Jenny Slate? What was the process of getting from the novel to the screenplay and then the screen? I mean, it's one thing to get a novel published. Congratulations. But then to have that novel developed into a screenplay that you did that then actually gets made as a movie. I mean, this can take decades. I'm just curious if you can talk about that experience.
Yeah, absolute magic, a total gift, something that has been one of the wildest and most fulfilling artistic experiences I've ever come near. And I really take seriously the privilege of it. It all happened sort of via serendipity and via generosity of spirit. I went to see Obvious Child for my birthday in 2014, loved Jenny so much. A couple days later, I was walking through a park in Brooklyn, and I saw her walking through the park, gave her a little round of applause. She blew me a kiss. Because of that totally silent interaction, my publisher wound up sending her an early copy of the book. She had a really profound intellectual connection to the material, which was a gift in itself. And then when the production company Big Beach took an interest in optioning the novel, they asked me who I might like to see in the film, and it was so easy to answer that Jenny Slate had the most extraordinary connection to the work. And from there, it just kept rolling along with people who were excited about the material. It's a dream and a half, and I can't believe it either. So I'm with you.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, one, I think that's cool that you kind of had Jenny in mind. I mean, Obvious Child is kind of a modern classic now, right? I
Mhm.
mean, but I'm curious also about the transition from the novel to then the screenplay. It's not often you get to do a rewrite. So, in a sense, you took your own story and were able to weave other elements in. Were some of those, like you mentioned earlier, the romantic tropes, was that something that um, in the development of it, you thought, well, this is sort of, it's one of those things that's kind of expected in a movie. What was that process like, and that writing process like?
Yeah, I mean, taking a novel and turning it into a screenplay requires a lot of compression and it requires a lot of focus. We were only able to take certain story elements and really dive in on them. And ultimately, we wanted to focus on Frances. We wanted to focus on Norway. We wanted to focus on her painting and her ambition as an artist. And I think we were able to tell those stories really clearly and to let all of the color and nuance of the rest of the book fill it in around her. But having the privilege of such a strong leading lady and the sort of singularity of the Norwegian landscape really helped us focus the film. In a way that a novel has more room to play, we were really able to tell Frances's story in Norway.
Well, I'm curious where the I mean, it's so visual. First of all, you have the
Mhm.
setting itself, which is just sumptuous. I don't know. It's just like, I mean, Francis is taken aback, like, being there. Just look at it's like a painting. It's like
Yeah,
it's unironically beautiful painting, this whole
yeah,
setting. But where did you weave in the elements, which I think is so great, the artwork and the painting the structure as sort of part of her, how she gets this getaway, like tell me where that came from, because visually it really is amazing to see that process, because I don't know, I just thought it was very clever.
cool. I'm so glad you connected to it. I mean, it is a visual film first and foremost. It is about landscape, it is about beauty, it's about color, it's about a visual artist. And we had a team of creatives who were really committed to bringing those visuals to the screen. So I love that you saw it clearly. And I mean, it's essential to the book. The basic premise of the novel is that this is a woman who goes to the Arctic to paint a barn, which is a really mundane and pedestrian task, until it takes on this sort of cosmic dimension where she's learning about colors that she's never considered before. She's seeing the way they work together in the natural world and in this man made piece of art. She's learning about the human relationships that come up with mentors and with teachers and with difficult personalities and with foreign personalities. She's learning a new language. She's learning several new languages at once. So I think having the opportunity of to apply the strength of a full film crew to a landscape that is infinitely rich in its visual resources was just a really nice pairing, because there was a huge amount to capture and we had the team and the tools to really bring it to film. So it was a pleasure. I'm glad you saw that.
I also like the fact that while there's nudity in the film, it's not played in an exploitative way. It's played very just matter of fact. I think as Americans, I think we're just very puritanical when it comes to stuff like that. It's either too puritanical or it's just exploitative. And it was just this balance of, this is just our bodies, right? And especially when it comes to artwork, right? When it comes to the world of art, I mean, the naked form, male or female, is a thing of beauty. So I really like that that was included. I don't know if I have a question there, just a comment that I appreciate that I believe that there's like a correct way to use nudity in a film, and I think that it was struck in. I think you did it. Is what I'm saying.
Thank you. I'll take it. I really appreciate that.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Now, normally when a screenwriter, like, okay, thanks for writing the script and
Right.
see you later. We'll we'll
Right.
we'll make that movie and we'll talk to you later. Hopefully we can get you a ticket to the premiere. But
Yeah.
but this is a little different because you're invested, because it's such a personal story to you, based on your novel and screenplay. So were you there for the production, and tell us what that experience was like, if that's true.
Yeah. I had the enormous good fortune of being on set all day, every day, which was one of the greatest pleasures for me. We were up in the Arctic. We were shooting overnight under the midnight sun all night, sleeping all day. It was totally upside down. It was so joyful. And to be able to go back to this place where I used to live that means so much to me with this incredible team of talent and vision. It's just an extraordinary, magical experience that I'm just infinitely thankful for. And again, we all became really close. Jenny and the producers and I became very, very close. So it was difficult to imagine completing the project without each other. Also, on a sort of logistical level, we were in some pretty minor local spots where I had lived and where I had relationships, and I speak Norwegian, and my being there made it all a little bit easier on a technical level. But it was also just an act of friendship, and again, the generosity of the producing team that I was able to be there and to really experience it day in and day out. I loved it.
Can you tell us any stories or anecdotes about some of the other cast members? Zach Galifianakis, who, I mean, he's just great. He's always fun to see pop up. And Gillian Anderson, wow. I mean, she's I just love seeing her in so many things. So she was really great in a brief role, but really fantastic. Do you have any anecdotes about the cast? Clearly, it seemed like, I mean, there's drama, but it seemed like fun was had.
Oh gosh, it was so fun. I mean, there's no way around how extraordinary that part of the world is to have the opportunity to all spend 6 weeks together in the Arctic. The sun never set. We were shooting overnight, so we would be filming from 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. and then drink a bunch of beer first thing in the morning, go to sleep in the afternoon, wake up, have breakfast at dinner time, start filming again. I mean, you can't have more fun than that. And then there are all the weird Norwegian snacks on set, like nothing made any sense. The brown cheese, I love it, but nobody else had ever had it before. The on-set catering was pretty shoddy, so there's a lot of like boiled Norwegian fish going on. I remember Zach, really heroically taking that all in with stride. I remember Jillian feeding like Norwegian Nutella sandwiches to other actors in like the most warm and generous way. We had live goats on set, a lot of goat hilarity all the time, lots of goat pee and poop on everything. It was a riot, but we all really loved being there.
That's just it just sounds like it was like, in a way, kind of like summer camp. I mean,
Yeah,
is that
very much like Norwegian summer camp.
now the movie played Sundance, right? Like, what was that experience like to now um, have the film made and then be accepted by Sundance, which we all know is incredibly difficult? Tell me about your Sundance experience.
Sure. It was incredibly exciting. I had obviously never been there before, and it's an extraordinary festival, and we got to all reunite. We hadn't seen each other since Norway, and that was super meaningful. It was definitely an early cut of the movie, and it was quite different than the film we're releasing now. I think the film we're releasing now is actually the movie we were trying to make. So in many respects, we didn't have the opportunity, just timing wise, we didn't have the opportunity to screen a really finished cut. And I think that would have felt more complete from an artistic perspective, but just from an industry perspective, it was, extraordinary to be able to speak about the film with the cast and crew and to get back together again. And to see it on a big screen for the first time is really meaningful for me. But ultimately, I'm so excited about the cut that's coming out this summer. It feels like the right way to tell the story. And it took us a little while to get there. And I'm really proud of the movie that is coming out right now.
Well, it's an amazing film, just so entertaining, also heartfelt, and also it's that journey,
Yeah.
right? I feel like these journey of self-discovery, I think those kind of films, I've just always been attached to those, and this one you really hit the mark. What are some of your takeaways from this now, having been through this fantastic experience?
Well, first of all, thank you so much. I'm really so glad that the film resonated with you. I hope that your listeners love it. It's a nice movie. I think some of my takeaways are you got to tell one story. I think it's really easy, especially coming from a novel, to try to cram it all in there, and we were getting lost a little bit in all of our options and all of the footage. Um, and I think we've come to a place where we really understand what story we're telling, and we really saw how to tell it. And I'm so glad that it's up there and that it's going to be seen right now. It's a testament to beauty. It's a little ode to beauty, and I hope that there's a place for that right now. There's obviously so much that isn't beautiful, that to take an hour and a half and really appreciate what is glorious about the natural world is, I'll take it, and I hope that the viewers find a little relief and a little joy in it as well.
Well, it makes me want to take a vacation to Norway and try the brown cheese.
Yeah, try it. It's sweet and salty. It's really good.
I like that. I'm a salted caramel guy, so
Yeah,
I
you're
like
gonna
that
love
stuff.
it then. It's like really right up your alley.
That's great. I have to thank our sponsor, Storyblocks. If you go to storyblocks.com/film threat and you're a filmmaker, you'll get a deal there. And I have to really thank Rebecca for coming on the Film Threat podcast today and telling us about the Sunlit Night. Just a beautiful, heartwarming, uplifting film. And we need a film like this now more than ever. Thank you, Rebecca, for being on the Film Threat podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Chris. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Cool.